All right, here's Jeff, the home inspector.
So yeah, I got a chance to walk the property real thoroughly, looked at everything. I know Judah had started by asking me 3 important questions. What's the age of the roof? Update on the plumbing system and the electrical system throughout the house. So let me start with that. The roof, for the most part, just needs some work on it that's pretty minor, more like removing all the tree debris up on the roof. There are 2 sections in the upper back of the house that are called valleys. And it's almost what I call a flat roof condition, where they filled in the valleys with a cricket, which is basically a polygon shaped section of the roof that fills in between 2 valleys and sheds the water back towards the back of the house. But both of them are basically catch basins for all the leaves from the trees, and so they're filled with leaves right now. If those are kept clean, they'll probably be fine, but as long as it traps water and you have standing water back there, it's just a matter of time before we realize there's probably going to be some leaking if we don't address that. The gutters need to be clean, that's pretty normal. And while we're on the roof, the front gutter that goes across the porch and the garage, a very, very long section of gutter, only has 1 downspout. So by rule, a gutter that's that long that needs to egress that much water all at once, all that whole front roof section is going to be dumping into that gutter. 1 downspout's not sufficient to drain that. So a secondary one could be added, which will just help that amount of water get out and not overwhelm the system, especially if there's any leaves in the gutter. So that's the roof. Regarding the electrical, the panel is not original, but I would believe most of or some of the wiring that I can visually see. In other words, it's not in a wall trap or an ag space trap or under a floor space trap, but a place where I can see the wiring. The wiring all looks like pretty much original with some new circuits run. That being said, there are several outlets throughout the house that are ungrounded. As a general rule, the wet locations like the bathrooms and the kitchen have GFIs, whereas the laundry, also a wet location, does not. And exterior plugs do not. Interior plugs like the front room, the bedrooms are all ungrounded. So you have a mix of things there. Ungrounded simply means when you have a 3-hole plug in the wall, that says this should be grounded. If it's a 2-hole plug, that tells you it shouldn't be grounded, or it's not a ground outlet. It's an older style before that code was enforced. So currently, as it sits, all 3-hole outlets that are ungrounded basically are not functioning properly because they're telling me it's grounded, but they're not. So I went ahead and just I'll make some notes. I took pictures of the areas, but generally speaking, the front room and the bedrooms are not grounded. Kitchen, bathrooms are. Now, the plumbing, I could see in the attic, I could see the service supply on the outside or the side of the house, and under the floor system, I could see the plumbing pipes, and those are original galvanized pipes. So that you're dealing with a house that has not had upgrades on its plumbing supply lines, as well as its drains. So there's been some repairs in the house, clearly, especially like under the hallway toilet. That whole floor system was actually rebuilt. A section of pipe was replaced, but everything for the most part is the original piping in the sewer line system. I did find what looked like an active leak under the house, and it's underneath the kitchen sink. The pipe itself, there'll be a picture in the report of this. The pipe itself has rust color on the outside. You can see where it's historically leaked. I don't know how long this house has been vacant. It's currently dry. I ran the sink for a while, and it did not drip under the house. So that tells me they either fixed it or it takes a while for it to fill up with enough water to overwhelm that section and flow out. But it did have a leak in the past. There's also a section of dirt underneath that point where you can see it used to pool underneath there. Although that's not a bathroom, that's the kitchen. So it's a different situation than if we had like a sewer leak in a bathroom. Right now it does not appear to be leaking per se, but it's hard to tell. No other issues regarding plumbing as far as that goes. Substructure looked good. It's all insulated, so 100% of the floor is insulated, which is a nice upgrade for this age of house. They've done that. There are rat feces all over the the subfloor area. So historically, it looks like there's been a lot of rat action in there. In fact, there was a leftover bundle of insulation when they insulated the floor, and that became a house. They literally dug a house in there, and you can see they've been living in there and pulling debris in there from under the house. So maybe when they remodeled this, they sealed it off well now and they can't access the subfloor. It's what it looks like to me. But there's evidence of past rodents under the house. No evidence that I could tell that it's currently that there's rats under there right now. I did not see any action. And I'm crawling right in their space and moving stuff around, didn't see anything. So I think it's old stuff that's just left under the house. Kitchen cabinets could use some little bit of adjustments on doors here and there, just like the hall cabinets in the hallway. The doors sort of rub together. We have that in the island of the kitchen that could be adjusted. Interior doors, there's quite a few interior doors that need not replacement, but adjustment. So I have almost every bedroom door and closet door that's a hinge door, not a bypass or sliding door. They all rub. In other words, they don't close smoothly, or the latch doesn't align with the striker. So those are all just adjustments that need to be made, as well as I have a bedroom trim, a door around a trim that has been popped loose at some point, and it looks like maybe they tried to smack it to adjust it so it's wider and it doesn't rub on the door, but it ended up popping the trim on the inside of the bedroom. I'll have a picture of that as well. So the doors need some slight repairs, nothing major. I did have one bedroom closet door, the handle set was on backwards, so that's why I didn't latch, it was in reverse mode. I have a door out in the garage that goes into the laundry that's missing a handle, so half of it's missing. The door doesn't open from the garage side without a set of pliers. Attic space looked pretty good. Small attic space, not a lot of space up there, but is insulated well. HVAC unit sits up there. Let's talk HVAC unit while we're on that subject. I went around and tested every temperature of every vent in the house, ran the heat on as high as the temperature as I could get to go, and I'm getting a fluctuation of more than 10 degrees, which is kind of the spectrum of degrees that you want to stay within. In other words, if I go to this end of the house and it's 97, I go to this end of the house and it's 87, that's 10 degrees, I'm okay. But if it goes below 87 or above 97, that's more than 10 degrees. And in this house, we have that. So you've got some vents in the house that are only putting out like 80 degrees, while other ones will be putting out 97 to 99 degrees. And that's really where it should be at, in that high 90s range or higher for a modern system. So for some reason, we're not getting as hot a air to this side of the house over here, which would be the 2-bedroom bathroom side of the house, as we are for the living space we're standing in now next to the kitchen. In the kitchen, this would be the hottest vent locations. Those would be the coolest. And so we're over 10 degrees there. But I am getting pressure, I'm getting temperature coming out of those vents. It's just for some reason they're not sized properly or something's going on there. I'm going to recommend you have it reviewed by an HVAC contractor, because the equipment looks new, so I'm not sure why we're getting such a difference in temperature. Garage door is slightly damaged and repaired, but it works. No garage door opener. There's a platform in between the garage and the laundry room, which is like a storage area. But it's not all the way up to the ceiling, which means it's not a firewall. So oxygen can flow, or fire can flow from the garage to the laundry room. And since that's the case, the door that goes from the laundry room now into the living space needs to be a fire-rated door. And that's not a fire-rated door with self-closing hinges. So that's an issue. The back of the house has 2 sliders. They're both missing the screen doors, and the one that goes from the dining room or the breakfast nook into the backyard has a failed glazing on one side panel. So the rest of the panels, there's 4 total, 2 in each door. The right side, the non-operable side of the slider from the breakfast nook to the backyard has a failed glaze. That means there's moisture getting in there. It puts a milky white film in between the glass. So that's going on in there. But other than that, the other windows, which are several different types, but they're all fairly new, are all operating fine. Screens as well. The cranks that were in the 2-bedroom windows were a little tight at first. And I'm guessing it's because they're brand new. They haven't really been used much. The second and third time I was turning those cranks, they were working better. So I think they were probably just been sitting in that position for a long time and need to kind of move the oil around in the gears. Front door is missing the bottom trim, which keeps airflow and moisture out. And so it just needs a weather stripping on the bottom of the door. Ran the cooktop in the kitchen and the vent, all that worked great, had no problem with that. All the hookups are in the laundry. It's electric only, no gas in the laundry. But that's fine, it's working fine. It's an older water heater. It has a blanket on it, so I can't see the manufacturer's stamp to tell me how old it is, but it's an older one. But it's working fine. So when I ran every fixture, I got good hot temperature coming out. Most of the shower diverters, which turns the tub spout to the shower head, they drip still, which is common. It takes a tremendous seal to keep that to be completely one way or the other, but that's just a matter of putting a new packing ring in those if it's a problem, but they're working. We're getting shower pressure, we're getting good heat. The last thing I would note that'll be in my list in the report is in the bathrooms, the vanities have no backsplashes. So basically the drywall comes right to the countertop and there's no backsplash there. Technically that's not required, but I'm gonna just note it so you know about it, because typically people who use the sinks get some water against the wall on the backside, and that can cause the drywall to go bad pretty quick because it traps it between the countertop and the wall space, and then it's not caulked properly, it starts to disintegrate. Drywall just can't take water. And so that's why the backsplash is usually there. So I'm just gonna note it. You can choose to add that or leave it as it is, and just talk to the people who live here about keeping that dry. Yeah, so that's the basics of what I found. My report will have more information in it, a lot of pictures that demonstrates where it's happening, what's going on. And of course, feel free to reach out to me after you get my report if you have any questions about the issues I raised.
Thanks.